You know, when you're in this space of consciousness, there's no desire. You're just there in the unmanifest. And everything's complete in that space. We function in the world, but we have to have the capacity to find that internal space and to move into action from that space. When we're in that space and we move into action, we're creating from that purity, and everything starts to open. That energy attracts, it creates, it flows. That peace opens everything. When you're in your head and you're frantic and you're desperate and you're trying to attain, everywhere you go, you will create blocks. You will create blocks. But when you're open and your consciousness in action, consciousness giving, consciousness present, everything will come. There's nothing wrong externally. There's nothing wrong with creating, be it business, be it art, be it nurturing, be it gardening, be it cooking, be it whatever. It's all an expression of your humanity, you discovering you. It's not what you're doing that's good or bad. It all functions within the world. Like spiritual people have this idea that material things are bad, that to be ascetic is something wonderful. But all of creation's abundant. Nature's abundant. Everything's flourishing and growing. God creates. We can create everything. It's unlimited. There's no lack. The lack comes from here. From the heart, there's no limit. But it has to come from that space. And what is that space? It's sustainable. It's incorporating. It's giving. It's conscious of everything. It's love. And when you're creating from love, it doesn't matter what you're creating. You're giving. And when you're giving, the universe says, yes. When you're grasping, the universe does the same. It does the same. And be conscious of that. Because we have so many ideas in our heads of what spirituality is. But everything's God. Everything's a creation. And when it's vibrating in praise, love and gratitude, it's perfect. It's always perfect. So let go of all your judgments and your belief systems of how things should be. And open to be unlimited. And you guys have to remember, you're going to leave this place in a very deep level of consciousness. And you're going to go out into the world and you will impact the world because you are impacting. You don't see what you're doing. You think it's normal because everyone's doing it. But when you go out and you're giving your consciousness you're being authentic, you're talking from your heart, everything is going to change around you. It doesn't matter where in the world you are. People feel that. And it's attraction. It's very attractive. So you have to be present. You have to be giving. And more importantly, because you're all going to leave here as facilitators, you have to be giving. You know, and I'm not saying you have to have 100 people you're teaching every week. You might be teaching the gardener. It doesn't matter. The thing is that you're giving. Because people are going to see something and you're going to be giving that. So we're planting seeds everywhere. You know, what's transpired in the world is a call for change, no? It's a shift in consciousness. Everyone stopped. Everyone got locked up. Now we're starting to come out. But there's a shift. You can't have a world challenge so big without a shift taking place. And people are going to have to be more caring, more united, more loving, more giving, more present, not so selfish. And this is our job, you know, to go out and give. And it's important because a lot of things have happened. And there's been a big transformation. But the most important transformation is your transformation. Yours. Yes. Okay, questions.
My question is about the chakras. Seems very interesting, this issue, and I would like you to talk about what's the role that the chakras have in your system.
So when we're born, we're completely open. Babies live in unity. That energy is vibrating so fast, and all the energetic portals are open. And then we create the illusion of fear, and everything closes. When everything closes, this becomes a separate unit, separate from everything else, energetically, not completely. But on a very deep level, we become into our bodies. We think, I am my body, and she's her body, and he's his body, and everyone's separate and individual. When you start to expand your consciousness and your vibration starts to enhance, your chakras, your energetic portals, the closed, start to open. I know this because I feel it. It's not something someone told me. I feel, and I feel my energy in everything, completely. And everything external, I am that. I'm not talking about the eye of the ego. I'm talking about the divinity, that energy in everything. So when you start to heal, you notice that you have different pains, no? And you might feel off balance, you might feel dizzy, you might feel this weird energy in your body. But as the facets accelerate your vibration, the stress starts to leave your chakras and they start to open. And love is an energy. It's all the same energy. Everything's the same. But when it's vibrating very fast, it penetrates the physical. It moves out of the physical. It moves into unity. Now, it's not about trying to open your chakras. Oh, I'm going to put a crystal here and a crystal there. This is a progressive thing, and it's through the healing of your body, and it just happens naturally. You can force a chakra to open, but it will close again. So it's not worth even trying. The facets are doing it. And bit by bit, you'll experience that energy. You find it when you unify. Often you lose the limits of your body. Why? Because your vibration's moving out. It's moving out. So it's just a natural consequence of the expansion of consciousness. But it's not something to focus on. The key to consciousness is innocence, surrender, flow. This is how to grow. Authenticity, emotion, feeling, letting go. The system's designed for that, to stabilize permanent consciousness, the internal experience of love. But it happens naturally. It's like I was saying in the Darshan, with the rose, running to get water, running to get fertilizer, running. It doesn't work like that. God comes. You can't chase it. It comes. It's a grace. It comes. It comes. And then it opens.
I want to know, some people are born with gifts like clairvoyant, that they can see the future. Why? Why does that exist? And all of us, we have that possibility, but some of them are gifted more than others. Why that exists if the only important thing is the present?
Does it exist? Are you sure? I'll tell you my story. Because we're all incredible creators, no? Before I got enlightened, I was crazy in love. Like, all my focus was on this relationship. And it was a very traumatic relationship. It was on, it was off, it was on, it was off. And I had this clairvoyant. Some of you know this story. Anyway, I found this clairvoyant. And I went into the clairvoyance, and she had these purple butterfly curtains. Now, those curtains were handmade for my mother, for my bedroom. And at some point, she gave those curtains to the Red Cross. And this woman bought the curtains. So I walked in. Oh, my curtains! It's a sign. This woman is my clairvoyant. And I would go, and the only thing I'd ask about was my partner. When will my partner come back? And she would give me exact dates. And I would obsess about these dates. Like I was crazy obsessed, no? And I'd think about it and think about it and think about it and think about it, think about it. And exactly the day, the phone would ring and my partner would come back. Always the same. And the clairvoyant told me. She used to say things that were very ambiguous, but she used to always give me the date. Who created that? Me. Yeah, of course. I create everything. I create my reality. I create my curtains. And when I decided I wanted to get enlightened, well, I didn't decide that. I decided I didn't want to do this anymore, going to clairvoyance and suffering over someone. I wanted absolute freedom. And when I said that to the universe, miraculously, everything started to come. But why? Because I was creating it. I was always creating it. You create your reality. You create your reality. And when you get into a very high level of consciousness, you create from a place of innocence, without attachment, without desire that makes you suffer. I would like boom and let go. And it comes or doesn't come. But if it doesn't come, it doesn't matter. But when there's attachment, you suffer. Because you think that future moment is going to make me happy. And there's something so much bigger. And that's what you're learning here. And the things we want the most, if you're attached, are the things that make you suffer.
Sometimes I feel I have a lot of clarity when I give reflections and I see it super clear. But afterwards, when I have to have that clarity towards myself, it's hard to find it. I feel I can see clear and see the things, can be clear and see the things in the others, but not in me. And I want to know why it happens.
You know, this is the beauty of being a teacher or a facilitator, because you're always talking to yourself. And you reflect and you reflect and you reflect. But when the moment comes for you to do the same thing, you often forget or you can't implement it. I have an extreme clarity for the outside, but until I incorporate it internally, I'll keep having that reflection. And at some moment, the feature will drop and it'll be clear, oh, I'm not doing that. And that's when you change. We talk to the outside, and I always tell my teachers this. Every reflection you give, you wash through your body. I still do that because I'll never miss an opportunity to be more. I always put everything through me, through me, through me. And I just check that I'm clean. So when you give a reflection, always put that energy through you. So you have that clarity. And often, if you're in the middle of something and you stop and you go in and you ask yourself that question, the answer will come. But often you're in such a drama, you don't want to do that. You have to stop, center, go in and receive your own reflection and take responsibility, because that's integrity. If you reflect and do the opposite, you're out of integrity. It's not a big deal because it only affects you, but it's an opportunity to be more.
I'd like you to talk about death. From your perspective, what happens with our consciousness?
Consciousness is eternal. It never came, it never left, it never arrived, it never leaves. You are that eternally. You are totality eternally. But you see visually the death and the birth. So you negate that. When I woke up, I realised that. I'm eternal. That's it. There's this moment. And it's the only thing that exists. Now, if you go to a Buddhist school, they'll tell you you've had 1 million lives. And you've got to this point. Now you're ready to become a Buddha in 100 years more. And if you go to a Hindu school, they'll tell you you've had hundreds of lives as well. And all the Hindu gurus will tell you that. That is not my experience. Before I woke up, yes, I believed in past lives. I believed in everything. I had memories that I came back in this body and then the next body and da-da-da-da-da. But after I woke up, my experience is that's just another aspect of a very complex illusion that we're trapped in, playing human. That's my experience. But you have to have your own. When you do, tell me.
There are places where I abandon myself, or I'm afraid to speak my truth, or I'm afraid to take decisions because I'm afraid that I will hurt the other person. Can you talk about that?
You know, I don't believe that. I think you're afraid of hurting yourself because you're afraid of losing your attachment. And that attachment gives you security. All humans say that. I don't say the truth because I'm afraid I'll hurt someone. But what's the truth? The truth is I'm afraid I won't be loved. I'm afraid I'll be abandoned. I'm afraid I'll be alone. I'm afraid I'll change my mind. It always comes back to this place where I'm not free. Speaking the truth is a gift. It's a gift for everyone. If it comes from love. Not if it comes from this wanting to hurt. But if you open your heart, and I'm talking about your heart, not your head, because this has 1 billion excuses. If you open your heart and you give your truth, it's always a gift. It might not be what the other person wants to hear. I always tell people what they don't want to hear. Because it's my job. You know, you don't want to hear this. You don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear that you're a brat. You don't want to hear that you're shut down. You don't want to hear that you're selfish. You don't want to hear. The same as I didn't want to hear it. But I received it so I could change. And I took everything very seriously, no? Even that which wasn't true. I went looking for it because I was very, very exigent. So if you can do that with you, You can do it lovingly with others. But don't think you're hurting them. You can't hurt God. What you're hurting or what you're afraid of is you're not going to be loved. And we're taught that from this age. You know, our parents say to us, you should always tell the truth. And then you say something inappropriate, it's the truth, but the parents think it's inappropriate. Don't say that. And we learn that when there's this age. Don't say that. But it's the truth. Yeah, but you can't. Shut up. And you learn that. It's not appropriate. You know, why have you got that ugly mole on your nose? Children always speak the truth. And from a very early age, we tell them not to. It's true. So we get confused. Do I tell the truth? Do I not tell the truth? And then we get into this duality. What's right? What's wrong? Am I going to get in trouble? Am I going to be loved? And then we start to see that our parents are out of integrity. That our parents contradict themselves. Because children are naturally truthful. And then we start to change. Then we start to create masks. Then we start to create images. Then we decide how we're meant to be in order to fit in. Not to be us. No, to fit in. It's very tricky. It's very tricky, this game, no? Until you become authentic. Next question.
Yesterday I talked with my parents and I was able to feel all the stress that is in them, and I started seeing different aspects, like their fears, their stress, their ego. Also I saw a lot of anguish in my mom. But at the end, I understood that I have all that. I am part of that. And I felt a lot of fear. And I want you to tell me, how can I embrace those aspects? Or is it a moment of letting go?
No, you have to let go of this. Because you're evolving. And it's great you see that in your parents. Because that's the evolution. And there's nothing wrong with your parents. You don't try to change them. You just listen to them. But remember that I too was that. You don't have to feel fear. Because if it wasn't clear for you, the difference, you wouldn't have noticed. You would have been in the middle of it. And it would be part of what you were experiencing. You created the fear. Because initially you were watching, and then you went, oh, and I'm like that too, and now I'm afraid. The mirror doesn't work like that. Compassion doesn't work like that. Evolution doesn't work like that. When I see, I've incorporated it. I've let go. And this is what you have to do. And you see without judgment. Oh, I was like that. I was like that. You know, the thing with my life is I did everything. Everything bad a human could do, I did everything. And I was full of guilt, and I did these horrible things, and I was out of integrity, etc., etc., etc. I was also very violent with myself. And now I can look at everything with love because, yeah, I did that. And I did that. And yes, I had an abortion and I had an affair and I did this and I did that. And oh, yeah, I did that too. Oh, I took advantage and I lied and and I used to be resented and I used to be needy and I used to do drugs and I used to drink too much. And in between all of that, I was fabulous. But I did it. I wasn't like this, a little saint. And you just have to see it externally and love it because it's a game. And yes, your parents are full of stress. And they're probably negative and afraid of COVID and they talk about the government all the time. They do what humans do because everyone does the same thing. But just love them. Don't try to change people. Be the change. Then they come. Don't go home and start fixing everyone. People don't want you to fix them. They want you to listen. They want you to do this. Like the teachers do with you. I trained them this, huh? The angle of the head, everything. Are you thinking of facet? Can you connect? Do you think you need to move? There's only one difference, and that's Satya. She does this. The rest of them manage to keep their eyes open.
Come visit our webpage for books, movies, and our wonderful retreat centers. Isha's simple yet powerful system is transforming lives around the world.
Gracias, gracias.